Do you feel like you have the biggest sweet tooth no matter how hard you try to avoid sweets? Do you feel guilty when you eat sweets and wish you hadn't? Are you not sure what's considered an okay amount to eat? There are so many feelings and thoughts surrounding sweets, and it seems like everyone has an opinion. In today's episode, I'm going to cut through the opinions and get straight to the facts. We're going to talk about why you're craving sugar and what you can do about it. We will also talk about if you need sugar or if you should just plain ban it from your diet completely. You won't want to miss today's episode, so grab a pen and paper to take some notes and let's go. Tired of feeling exhausted after training? Confused about how to fuel your body without all the food rules? Welcome to Female Sports Nutrition, where I'll help you fuel strong, build muscle, and perform your best, all while breaking free from diet culture. I'm Kristen, a sports dietitian, trainer, and Jesus lover, and I'm here to help you fuel with freedom. Lace up your shoes, grab that smoothie, and let's jump in. I know you're so sick of Googling what and how much you should be eating to get stronger and healthy, only to become more confused than you were before. I know you're tired of feeling like you can't eat anything because it's bad for you or it'll make you gain weight or who knows what else. I know you just want to build muscle and confidence the right way without the food police giving you misinformation. It's time to stop scouring the internet and feeling stuck, not sure where to start. I want to show you the easiest and simplest way to get stronger, build back that confidence, and no longer struggle with undereating and underperforming. I'm offering a free 30-minute one-on-one consultation with me so we can explore what's holding you back, what your goals are, and map out a plan to get you there. To snag your spot, head on over to elitenutritionandperformance.com/consult, but hurry because there's only a limited number of spots available. Okay, so we're going to rewind the years a little bit here and talk about back when I was swimming so many days a week, so many hours a week, 2 hours a day, about 6 days a week. I was eating a lot. And I used to be called bottomless pit because let's face it, I was hungry and I didn't think twice about it. I ate when I wanted. I felt great. I had lots of energy and all was good in the world. And then speed up to when I stopped swimming. I went off to college. I gained a bunch of weight. I didn't know how to lose it. And then I started hyper fixating on my diet. And one of the things that I really focused on was sugar. So I started replacing all my sugar with artificial sweeteners like Splenda and thinking that was good because I was cutting calories and that was a good thing. I wasn't getting in the sugar, so that was a better option for my body. And boy, was I wrong. I was still working out at that time. I was actually training for triathlons and different cycling events and things like that. And I also went to the gym and lifted weights and I wanted to get stronger, but I was missing a key piece, and that was giving my body enough food, primarily carbohydrates. So sugar, one of the things that people say that really drives me crazy is they say that, certain things turn into sugar when you eat them. Nothing turns into sugar when you eat it, or it already is a sugar because carbohydrates are sugars. Their scientific name is a sugar. For example, glucose is a sugar. That's the simplest form of carbohydrates. Sucrose, that's a sugar. Lactose that comes out of milk, that's a sugar. Fructose that comes out of fruit, that's a sugar. Those are all carbohydrates, but they are all sugars. And sugar is important, or carbohydrates are important, because when we exercise or when we are active, our bodies rely heavily on glycogen and glucose. Glycogen is the storage form of glucose, and that's our body's primary source of energy. So when we are depleted on glucose, our bodies are going to reach for glycogen. And when we're depleted on glycogen, well, then guess what? We kind of hit a wall. And then we don't have enough energy to make it through our day. We don't have enough energy to make it through our training session and just life in general. And then we feel like garbage. So if you're struggling with energy levels, you might want to consider how much carbohydrates that you're taking in, because that's one of the main things that's causing female athletes, or just athletes in general, to run out of energy, is not having enough carbohydrates or sugars. So we're going to talk about why this is so important for you, especially as being a female athlete, and also talk about your menstrual cycle, which can really influence your energy levels and your metabolism. Research shows that sugar is king, or carbohydrates are king. when it comes to performance. They can enhance your performance by providing rapid energy. I will say that females do rely a little bit more on fats than they do carbohydrates, but that does not mean that we can just cut out all carbohydrates and just go on the ketogenic diet and then we're going to be feeling great and, doing amazing things in our sport. That's not really true. What that means is that we are just going to oxidate a little bit more fat than we would carbohydrates compared to our male counterparts. But you still need carbohydrates to provide energy. So what I'm not saying is that you need to just sit around and eat candy bars all day long. But what I am saying is consuming carbohydrates before, during, and after exercise can help to maintain your energy levels, also improve your recovery, and even enhance your muscle repair when it's paired with a protein. So you're going to get more bang for your buck and you're going to have more energy so that you can do more if you consume carbohydrates. But here's the catch. Not all sugars are created equal. So while quick sources of sugar like sports drinks or gels and things like that can provide immediate energy during long workouts, it's really important that you are focusing on the quality of the sugar sources in your overall diet. So what I mean by that is we are going to focus our efforts on whole foods such as fruits and whole grains that provide not only carbohydrates, but essential nutrients and fiber instead of just saying, well, Kristen said that I need sugar, so I'm going to go ahead and just have this ice cream instead of that sweet potato or brown rice or whatever. So, yes, carbohydrates are sugars, but we want to focus on fruits, vegetables, and whole grains as our primary source of those sugars or carbohydrates because those are going to give us a lot of nutrients that our body needs to perform well and also to be healthy. At the same time, I do not want you to cut out sweets because you think that you should never eat them, because sweets are going to provide a form of mental fulfillment for us, right? So if we never give our bodies something that is fulfilling or tastes good, and food is not only meant to be a fuel for our body, but it's also meant to be a source of enjoyment for our bodies, then we're really going to go crazy and we're going to wind up actually craving sugar even more because you keep telling yourself you can't have it. So just remember that food is meant to be a source of fuel for our bodies, but also a source of enjoyment. And I can prove this to you because if you have ever had COVID and lost your sense of taste, you know what I'm talking about. It was pretty awful to eat when you had no sense of taste. Like I didn't want to eat anything. And so clearly God gave us food to fuel our bodies, but also as a form of enjoyment. But we don't want to go crazy on that form of enjoyment and go overboard on it. And so it's really all about that balance. So with that said, sugar cravings can stem from a variety of factors, which includes hormonal fluctuations, emotional triggers, and even nutritional deficiencies. So what that means for female athletes is the connection between sugar cravings and energy expenditure can be especially pronounced, especially when you're training hard. Your body can be signaling that it needs quick energy, which can lead to intense sugar cravings. And that's the same thing with when you're on your menstrual cycle. Your body is going to require more food and particularly more carbohydrates to give it the energy that it needs to perform the menstruation cycle. And so what winds up happening is your body is looking for that quick source of energy. And so it's going to crave more carbohydrates or more sweets because that's the quickest form of carbohydrates or energy that it can get. It's the same thing if you had a horrible night's sleep and you're really tired. You wind up craving sweets more because your body is tired and it's looking for a quick source of energy. And so carbohydrates are going to be it. And of course, if you are a teen listening to this and your body's going through all those hormonal changes and it feels like, things are going up and down all the time, that can also make it feel like sweet cravings is a constant battle because you may be craving sweets more just because of those hormonal fluctuations. So what I do not want you to do is replace those sweets with artificial sweeteners because artificial sweeteners are not going to be any better. Basically, they're just tricking your body into thinking that you are having sweets, but your body knows better. It knows that it's not getting that quick source of energy. So it's actually going to intensify your sweet cravings. Plus, artificial sweeteners tend to not be good for our guts, which makes things worse and can intensify cravings even more. Plus, artificial sweeteners are oftentimes like 600 times sweeter than real sugar. And so that makes us crave sweets even more. So artificial sweeteners are out. Just don't even bother with them. You're better off having the real deal, but balance it all out. So here's what you can do. First of all, is to focus on your day-to-day eating and balancing out your meals. So make sure that you are incorporating a mix of protein, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates in your meals. And what I mean by complex carbohydrates is having high fiber carbohydrates. So like sweet potatoes, brown rice, whole wheat pasta, whole wheat bread, quinoa, beans, lentils, peas, lima beans, those types of things. That can help to stabilize your blood sugar levels, which alone can help to reduce your sugar cravings. Number two, make sure that you are having protein in there as well. If you are not having enough protein, I guarantee you, you are going to have more cravings for sweets. And that all goes back to blood sugar levels. Because if you're not eating enough protein, your blood sugar levels are not going to be as steady. Plus, your body realizes it's not getting enough fuel. It's hungry. And so it's going to look for that quick source of fuel, which is going to be sweets. So you need to make sure that you're having enough protein in there. And it's the same thing with fats. Fat is a secondary source of energy and it's going to kind of be like a long-term source of energy. So you need to make sure that you're incorporating that in there so that you're not getting hungry, an hour after your meal. But it's also really important for hormone production. And so if you are not getting enough fats, your hormones are going to be all messed up, which can then make sweet cravings even worse. So it's really important that you're balancing your meals and getting in whole grains, proteins, and healthy fats. Next up is to make sure that you are staying hydrated. Sometimes what feels like a sugar craving can actually be just thirst. So make sure that you're drinking enough water throughout the day. Minimum is half of your body weight in ounces of fluid per day. So if you are 150 pounds, divide that in half, and you need to be drinking at least 75 ounces of fluid per day. That is not including the amount of fluid that you need to be drinking before, during, and after a training session. That you should really be relying on your sweat rate. And I can drop a link below for you on that. But just day-to-day hydration, it should be at least half of your body weight in ounces of fluid per day of non-caffeinated drinks. Caffeinated drinks can dehydrate you further if you drink too much of them. So make sure that you're focusing on non-caffeinated drinks and also not artificial sweetener drinks either. And that brings me to my next point of making sure that you are opting for natural sugars when you do crave something sweet. So if you are craving something sweet, your first line of defense, of course, is to make sure that you are having a balanced meal and you're eating enough food over the course of the day. But next step would be to reach for something that's naturally sweet, like fruit or yogurt or honey or maple syrup, things along those lines, so that you are getting in some other nutrients and minerals that are going to be healthy for you and can satisfy your cravings in a healthier way. However, that does not mean that if you're like, I just really want a piece of chocolate, that you should just go ahead and eat 5 pieces of fruit instead, hoping that it's going to satisfy your craving for a piece of chocolate. If you really want a piece of chocolate that bad, just go ahead and have a piece of chocolate. And that brings me to my last and final point, which is mindful eating or intuitive eating. And there's so many things I could talk about on intuitive eating, but I will leave you with this. If your body is really craving something, like I said, a piece of chocolate, you can have 5 pieces of fruit. It's not going to satisfy that chocolate craving because that's a totally different flavor. You're better off just going ahead and having a small piece of chocolate, enjoying it, not feeling guilty about it, savoring it, and really getting the satisfaction out of it, and then moving on with life rather than dwelling on it and thinking, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have had that chocolate. I feel so horrible about myself, whatever. At the same time, the other big piece of intuitive eating is paying attention to your body's hunger signals. So that means eating when you're hungry and not denying yourself food because you feel like, oh, I ate too much already. I couldn't possibly be hungry. I shouldn't be hungry. Why am I hungry? I'm just not going to eat. Your body is way smarter than you give it credit for. And if you can follow what your body's telling you, it will all work out a lot better than if you try to manipulate things the way that you think it should be going. So making sure that you're eating when you're hungry and distinguishing between true hunger versus emotional cravings. Meaning, if you just had a meal and you're still hungry, well, think about, why am I still hungry? Did I have enough protein at that meal? Did I eat enough food? Did I have carbohydrates? Did I have fat at that meal? And if the answer is yes, well, then think about, what's going on in my life. Why might I be feeling this way? Maybe you have some homework that you need to finish, or you need to finish up a project for work and you just don't want to do it. And now you're procrastinating. So now you just are craving sweets instead. Okay, well, that's an emotional craving. That's not true hunger. But let's say that you just ate a meal, but then you realize, well, I really didn't have much protein in that meal. Okay, well, that's probably why you're craving sweets, and you should just go ahead and have more protein. So really making sure that you are thinking through these things to figure out why you are craving sweets and what your body's telling you. So of course, this is all a balance. There is not one plan that is going to be perfect for everybody, because intuitive eating and sports nutrition is very individualized to each individual person, because we are all individuals. So if you are struggling with this still and you just feel like, I don't know how I should be eating, I don't know how to intuitively eat, I don't know how to put together a solid sports nutrition plan for myself, that is when you want to reach out and sign up for a free, no obligation consultation with me. That's just a free 30-minute chat where you and I will discuss where you're at, what you're struggling with, what your goals are, and then we can map out a plan to help you reach your goals and get you started. Like I said, it's a free 30-minute session. It's just you and me talking through some things and mapping out a plan to get you started so that you can start reaching those goals. All you need to do is head on over to my website, elitenutritionandperformance.com/consult, and I will drop the link below for you in the show notes. Hey friend, if this podcast inspired you, encouraged you, or changed you, I would love for you to leave me a review and share it with a girlfriend who will find it helpful or inspiring. That is the best way you can thank me and help me share my knowledge so I can help more people just like you. I'm so thankful that you spent this time with me today, and I'd love to connect with you. Join my Facebook group, Female Sports Nutrition, or send me a DM on Instagram, or hop on over to my website, elitenutritionperformance.com. I'll see you back here next week.